So today we are going to be reviewing a couple questions that we did in lesson 5.6. If you don't have your book open to this page with these questions, go ahead, pause the video, and make sure that you have them open. So this first one we're going to be doing is 16 is 20% of what? So we already know the part and the percent. We know the part 16 and we know the percent is 20, but we need to figure out what the whole would be, what the 100% would be. So we're going to set it up as a ratio. 16 is 20%. And we need to think we need to get to 100%. So I'm going to think to myself, how can I go from 20% to 100%? Well, I know I can do 20 times 5 to get to 100. We know with our ratios or equivalent fractions, anything that's equivalent, what we do to one, we need to do to the other. So since I multiply that 20% by 5, I also want to multiply that 16% by 5. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do 16 times 5. And that's going to get me 80. So 80 out of 100 would mean that 80 is my whole. So when it's 20%, we have 16. When we have 100%, we have 80. So 16 is 20% of 80. All right, for question 6, go ahead and try and set up your ratio. So I'm going to put my amount on the top and my percent on the bottom. So I'm going to have 42 and 50%. And then I'm going to think I need to get it to 100%. So go ahead and write your equals 100%. And I'm going to think, yes, I can count by 50s to get to 100. And then how many 50s do we need? So 50 times 2 gets us to 100. And what we do to the bottom, we need to do to the top. So 50 times 2, then we need to do 42 times 2. So go ahead, figure out what 42 times 2 is. We're going to have 84. So 42 is 50%, which means 84 is 100%. So 42 is 50% of 84. Go ahead and see how much of question 7 you can do. So you hopefully should have been able to get 28 is 40. And we know we need to get to 100%. But when I think about this one's a little different than the first two that we did. 20s, 20%, we can count by 20% to get to 100%. We could count by 50s to get to 100%. But I can't count by 40s to get to 100. I'd go 40, 80, 120. I don't land on 100. So what we need to do is we need to go to a percent that we can count by that we can get to 100. So I'm going to think I have a couple options here, but I'm going to think what is 1% that I could count by that would get me to both 40 and 100. So like I said, there's several different options we could do here. I could do 20%, 10%, 5%. I could even do 1%. But I'm going to go with 20% because it's the biggest percent, and so it's going to be a little bit easier to do. So I can go from 40% to 20%. And to do that, I need to divide by 2. So again, like we did with the other ones, if I divide 1 by 2, I need to do the other one by 2. So 28 divided by 2 is going to be what? So I should get 14. 28 divided by 2 is 14. So now I know that 14 is 20%. And from there, I can go to 100%. So how many 20% does it take to get to 100%? So it takes 5 20s to get to 100. So if I multiply my 20 by 5, I want to multiply my 14 by 5. So 14 times 5, go ahead and figure that out. So you should have gotten 70. So 70 is going to be 100%. So 28 is 40% of 70. So we have this little extra step here where we have to simplify it before we can multiply up when we have a percent that we can't just count by. So we're going to try that for number 8 as well. Go ahead and set up your ratio for the numbers that they gave us. It says 60 is 75% of what? So we should have 60 is 75%. And we have to get to 100%. So we're going to think, can I count by 75s to get to 100? Nope, I can't. I got to go to something else, a different percent that I could count by that I would land on 75 and 100. We can use those anchor charts that we've made. But what percent can I count by that I would land on 75 and 100? So I could do 25%. That'd probably be the easiest one. Again, for a lot of these, we have multiple options. I could do 5%, I could do 1%, but 25% is probably going to be the easiest. So now I have to think, how many 25s does it take to get to 75? Well, I'm going to use 3 of them. So I do 75 divided by 3. And since I divide 75 by 3, what do I need to do to that 60? So yeah, I should also divide that by 3. So 60 divided by 3 is going to get us what? So we should have gotten 20. So 60 is 75%, which means that 20 is 25%. And now that I'm at 25%, I can easily go up to that 100%. So think, how many 25s does it take to get to 100? So this is one we've been practicing. We should know that that's 4. So if I do 25 times 4, I'm going to have to do that to my 20 as well. We need to do 20 times 4 and go ahead and figure out what that is. So we should have 80, which means that 60 is 75% of 80. So we're going to do a bunch of practice problems today, and you'll have the opportunity to practice these. If you get stuck on any of the questions, come back to this video and you can rewatch it as many times as you need in order to be able to follow the instruction and be able to do your work.